from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcasters here to take, oh boys, this is a nice episode, I'm excited about making it, because it just has a nice element, a small element I'm looking forward to inhabiting, or a role I'm looking forward to playing within my main role, which is to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff, or to help you out in the deep, dark night, to help you out whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're waking up early, or you just don't like how it feels trying to fall asleep, and you say, man, I need some, I don't know if relief's the right word even, but I'm here to help if I can. If you're new, welcome. I'm really, really glad you're here, and I appreciate you checking this show out. It does take a little bit of explaining what the show, how the show works, because it is I'm a strange guy with a strange podcast, and in the best way possible, if it's a fit. So I guess this is a bit like, it's not like dating, or it's more like a job. It's somewhere in between a job application and dating, and I'm the applicant, right? So you can be the passive, whatever, like the gatekeeper to your sweet, sweet ears and your sweet, sweet bedtime. That's the kind of roles. Like, it's my job, but the way my job to win you over, but I win you over by being forgettable. So I guess with that analogy, they say, anybody come in to, I know you're working on that thing where it's somewhere between dating and job applications. Anybody come in today? Yeah, somebody did. Oh yeah? Did they get it? I guess they did, but I don't remember. I don't remember anything about them. I remember them coming in. I remember saying, yeah, this is good. This looks like it's going to work out. They had to come in 3 times. And then, yeah, I said, this is going to work out great, but I don't remember why, or even, I don't remember anything about them. I mean, I have a vague recollection. It's not like it's a blank. It's like, if you have a vague recollection of this podcast, then that's what I'm applying for. I say, I'm going to win you over by being vaguely recollected. He's reached a state of vague recollection. Is he a collectible? No, he's vaguely recollectible, though. What does that mean? That's like when you find, like, old stickers at a yard sale, and you say, oh, like a scratch and sniff, and they say, I wonder if these things still work. How much for the scratch and sniffs? I mean, I guess if they're still in the wrapper, it probably costs more, right? Also, those are words that, for some reason, I have trouble saying scratch and sniff. I can say it alone, but as part of a sentence, I can't say it. I don't know. So that's interesting. I can only pronounce scratch and sniff as a part of a meta sentence, not an actual as part of dialogue or conversation. Oh, by the way, welcome to Sleep With Me. This is just the very beginning of the show. I'm glad you're here. What we got coming up is support. So, like, people can come and go. Paying for the show is optional, because some people just come and go, and some people are new, like you. And we don't want to pressure anybody that's new or just temporarily listening. You just listen for free. The sponsors enabled us to do that. Then there's a long, meandering intro after that, meant to ease you into bedtime. And then later on will be our episodically modular story, Get Besos. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for checking this show out. And for the regular listeners, the people whose lives this podcast has changed, whether it's changed only over 6 months or 12 months or years, your support is what enables us to be here for you and all those other people that need the show. So if you want to be a part of something like that, where you say, man, this makes my life better, how can I help? And when I help, it helps a ton of other people too. That sounds like something I want to be a part of. If you get excited about that, you could. These are the ways you could be a part of that. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix Sleep, and they've got some amazing deals coming up. You're going to hear about it at the end of this ad read, so do not miss out. I want you to right now to open up your phone. Just do it with me. I'm going to go to helixsleep.com/sleep, and if I were you, I wouldn't want to, I don't know what your relationship with your bed is right now. I've had a long-term relationship with my Helix mattress. It fits my needs, how I sleep. I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach, but now I'm sleeping more on my back, and I'm relocating, and unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I could ship my mattress because I have to move my stuff before I move. But that's okay. It means I get a new Helix, so I'm going to take the Helix quiz right now, helixsleep.com/sleep. 30 seconds, and you can, okay, one or two sleepers. One. Okay, let me put in my email. Put in my name here, give a little bit of information. Okay, what size mattress am I considering? I got that down. All right. I don't know if are you taking this quiz with me at helixsleep.com/sleep? All right, toss. I guess I toss and turn. So I'm going to pick toss and turn. And what kind of firmness? Okay, I'm going to pick my firmness that fits my needs. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get yours, Okay, I'm going to talk about my back there, talk about temperature. All right, I got matched with my mattress. Oh, boy, and it's a different one than I have now just because I made a couple changes to how I sleep. So I'm going to check this out and think about it for my next Helix I'm going to be sleeping in. So take that Helix quiz. It's going to be coming right to your door, but most of all, it'll be a mattress that fits you, your needs, and how you sleep. And the best news is that Helix has amazing deals for Sleep With Me listeners, but only if you use our link. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide during their Labor Day sale. Happening now. This offer is exclusive for listeners of Sleep With Me. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for this exclusive Labor Day sale offer. That's 27% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/sleep. All right, everybody, this is a group going out to people that have been listening to podcasts longer than a year. And, you've had a year of goofing around with Scoots and my meanders, and we're starting to develop a relationship. Maybe you even have preferences about how you like to listen to the show. And if you've been here a year, you've been hearing me talk about it for the past year plus of sending our comfort to one another across the deep, dark night, of rooting for other listeners. So I don't know if you want to root for somebody that's new to the show, that's been listening longer than a year, that's a super listener that listens like you do, or someone that listens totally different than you, is in a totally different part of the world as you. Maybe their sleep issues or whatever it gets in the way of them getting the rest they need is different than you. Do you want to send them comfort? Who do you want to send comfort to? Do you want to send comfort to every listener Sleep With Me? That's cool, too. So do you want to do that right now? But you don't need to, because the other thing is, hopefully there's other listeners listening and hearing me right now, particularly people that have been listening over a year, and they're sending their comfort to you. So you may be in a place where you just need to receive comfort right now. So go ahead and receive it, right? We're sending it out. You could hear it in my voice. So, soak it in and know that night after night, this is happening across the world. And it really is happening. Even if you're internal critics like mine and wants to brush it off, there's people rooting for you around the world right now to have comfort in the deep, dark night. And the other thing is you could do both, or you could switch back and forth depending on how your day and your night's going, right? You could send comfort, you could receive comfort. But if you've been listening longer than a year, I need 19 of you to start rooting, just like I've been saying in the other messages, for that 1 out of 19 or 1 out of 20. We need 1 out of 20 people to support the show. Super listeners, not regular listeners, not new listeners. Super listeners. And if you've been listening over a year on a regular basis, you probably are a super listener. So I don't know. Do you want to be that one of those 19 people that's cheering with me right now, rooting for that one person to support the show? 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Or are you hearing us cheering for you? Can you hear me smiling? Because this is kind of fun. 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Are you the one person that's hearing me and listening right now, and you're like, I've been listening over a year. This podcast has changed my life in the past year. I've just been putting it off for some reason. Well, don't put it off any longer. We're cheering for you. We're rooting for you to support the show. And if you could do that, you could do it right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Do it right now. Don't wait. You'll change the trajectory, the entire trajectory of the podcast. And think about those IT people that are rooting for you to support the show, how happy you're going to make them, because the podcast has changed their lives too, and they need the show. And just like me, they want the podcast to be out here in the world, like not behind a paywall or not locked in some app or something. And you have the power to do that, right? So thank you for even considering it. sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. You could do that. sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Mystery Bart. A lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bart. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. And don't forget, the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me is with sleep phones. You can get sleep phones at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones and use Sleep With Me for $5 off at checkout. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. Use Sleep With Me at checkout. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. That could be thoughts on your mind, thoughts about the past, the present, the future. You know, thoughts, things you're thinking about, feelings, anything coming up for you emotionally, like feelings related to those thoughts or feelings that are just there, feelings left over, feelings of anticipation, feelings that are in motion or emoting, emoji. If you got a bed full of emojis, even if they're emoji pillows, I mean, that could be, you said, I got too many emoji pillows, man. And they say, well, that's a unique use case for Sleep With Me, but, I mean, I can picture it. I mean, how many, then someone may say, how many emoji pillows is too many? And they'd say, well, I guess it sounds like it's an individual decision. For some people, maybe one. For other people, I guess, I mean, I'd say how many, I guess this could also be for a nursery rhyme, not a nursery rhyme, but one of those things you give to kids, like a poem type sing-song thing. Because you say, how many emojis can you fit in the bed? You say, well, I don't know, 100? I'm trying, I mean, I'm picturing emoji pillows as the size of like a pillow, like a sofa pillow. I mean, but I guess size dependent. There you go. I mean, another thing. You say, well, if it was like I mean, it'd be tough to make quarter. I guess technically it wouldn't be a pillow if it's the size of a quarter. So you got me there. Would it be like a pillette? What do they call mini pillows? A pillette? A pilly? What does a pillow say on a roller coaster? Pilly, or they'd say they'd say pilly because I can't, or they'd say pillowy. I guess you'd say, that's what you'd say if you put your head on a pillow what if you got on a roller coaster and then right at the top of the roller coaster, you realized there was a pillow and you put your head on it and you were surprised, you'd say pillowy. So that's the kind of humor we have on the show. So it could be feelings keeping you awake. It could be physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, routine. You could be going over something. You could be going over spreadsheets tomorrow. That'll keep me awake. Going through something, in the middle of something, getting over something. Whatever it is, I'm here to help. And the way, or the reason, well, let me talk about why. Why would someone want to help, or why would someone make a strange meandering sleep podcast? And those are legitimate questions, like for real. It's like, yeah, why would anyone make a sleep podcast, right? And why would they want to help me? Why would they do it for 11 plus years and really like dedicate a lot of their life to it? It's because I know what it's like in the deep dark night for me. And I know that I needed something different than what was the normal advice, the normal things people would tell you. I never felt heard or understood by most people, even people that cared about me. I feel like they just didn't get how it felt for me. And those deep, dark feelings in the deep, dark night. And I knew the only thing that worked for me was not related to sleep. It was related to distraction from not being able to sleep. It was comedy radio that made me feel less alone and comforted and distracted. And that was when I was a kid in school and I could not sleep at all and I couldn't stop thinking and all those things. And I still know what that feels like for me back to when I was a kid, but also now as an adult when I struggle with sleep. And I know if another person feels like that, and I can help them in this unique way that I actually enjoy, even if I can only help you be seen and say, man, I know what that feels like. It is rough. If it's anything like I felt, it's rough for you too. And I see you, and I'm sending some caring towards you. But here's the cool thing about podcasts and the internet. This is the bright side of the internet, the nice side. I guess the full moon side. Whoa, boy, full moon side of the internet. Don't search that. But it's the full moon side of the internet in the sense of the shining moon. Nope, don't search that either. But it's the nice side of the internet because not like you might say, you know what, man, there's no way you could understand what I'm going through. There's no way you could relate to how I feel. And you could be right. Like I for a lot of people, I think some of the underlying things we can share or at least kind of see each other on. But even if you're going through something that I totally have no comprehension of and no way to relate to it, the thing is, there's enough people listening right now in the world, not just where you are, in the world, that someone is listening who can very strongly relate to you and what's going on. And even though we're disconnected because this is the internet and whatever, it's, podcast, that person right now, as you're listening, is rooting for you and kind of holding a nice place for you and saying, man, I hope this podcast can help you like it helped me because I do know what that feels like. And then they also hope like they know that it feels good to send that caring out to other people, even though it doesn't, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered like in the songs, right? It's just out there that it feels pretty good to send it out there too. Because the understanding is a two-way thing. And then they feel like seen when they see other people. And they say, man, I feel cared for and caring at the same time. And that's what this show's really about. That and the fact that you deserve a bedtime where you could get the rest you need. You deserve a bedtime you don't have to dread. You deserve a bedtime without rigmarole. You deserve the sleep you need so your life is more manageable tomorrow. And if you get the sleep you need on a regular basis, that you could be out there flourishing. So that's what I'm here to try to do and help out with that. Because if you get the sleep you need on a regular basis, your world's going to be better. That means the entire world is a better place to be in because your world's better. And the way it works is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents. So I go off topic. I get mixed up. I forget what I was talking about. And I use a lot of filler words and stuff. But it's all to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff. And it is a show that does take some getting used to. Like I said earlier, this is a very different podcast. It's strange. It's unique. It's an acquired taste. And it's okay not to like it or not to like me, or it's okay to get here and be skeptical or doubtful or put off at first. And all I tell people is that's how most people get here. Why wouldn't you be skeptical or doubtful or even irritated if you're having trouble sleeping? And now you tuned into a show and this guy's just rambling on and on and on. And half the things he says sound like nonsense. I don't even know what a scratch and stiffer is. And I say, well, yeah, good thing, because I get a scratch and sniff sticker. So, yeah, it takes some getting used to. So most regular listeners who, support the show now said it took 2 or 3 tries to get used to the show. And on the second or third try, or some people the fourth, some people with years in between those tests, they're like, oh, now I get it. He was serious. He's always going nowhere. The show is always never getting started. And he is he is a bit of a yard sale. I don't even know what that means, but it's an accurate description of him. I've never described anyone and said, yeah, he's a bit of a yard sale, that Scooter. But I think in this case, it fits pretty well. You say, is he more of a yard sale or garage sale? Bit of both. He's a bit of both for sure. I mean, without a doubt. He's a bit of a yard sale. Some days, a bit of a garage sale. Other days, probably never been, not sure how I'll be an estate sale. And they say, wow, that's really descriptive. He may visit an estate sale. But they'll say, sir, sure, well, I'm just here for the cookie. Do estate sales have cookies, right? I'm assuming. And, finger foods? No? Okay, well, foiled again. So, what was I saying? Oh, but most people don't like me when they get here. So just give it a few tries and see how it goes. But here's the thing. If you already know you don't like me or the show, or you tried it out for a few times and it doesn't work for you, or there's something else about the show, even if you're a regular listener that you're fed up about or frustrated about, we now have a website. It's a form now that'll lead you to the right place. It's called sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. And you just go there. If the show or me is a no, we have a link. It'll bring you to other sleep podcasts. If you just strongly dislike me, we'll bring you to other sleep podcasts and have a place where you could take action, positive action that'll help you sleep versus taking it out on me. Because it's okay if you don't like me. And if you love the show, but you're displeased, there's stuff on there for you too. Because this show is still about getting you to sleep and helping you out. That's the cool thing. Because I know what it feels like I know what it feels like to be grouchy. Holy cow, do I? So I'm still here to help. Or to guide you towards some other help. Just with sleep stuff, though. I'm just a podcaster. I'm not good. You know what I mean? So that's sleepwithmepodcast.com /no thank you. What else do you need? This is a podcast you just barely listen to it, like an out of focus picture or a TV on in the other room or a show streaming under your pillow or a friend on the phone you're not really paying attention to, but they're talking on and on and on, or like an incredibly boring person at a party, or a yard sale, or a yard sale or garage sale. That's just going, I could do that. So it's a show that just takes a little adjusting too. It's a podcast you could listen to it, but you don't need to listen to it. It's also, I've been making this sleep podcast, probably by the time you hear this, will have passed 12 years. And, this is not meant to put you to sleep. There's no pressure to fall asleep with this show because I'm going to be here over an hour, and I make this show for the people who can't sleep at all or who need a break during the day, just as much for the people that fall asleep to it. Because my job is to be here for you and send these lulling, soothing tones. not to put you to sleep. My job is to take your mind off of stuff and just hang with you. So I'm here to be your boar friend, your boar bay, your boar sib, your neighbor, your boar bee, your boars, your boorman, your Boris Borloff, your boar sib, your boar cuz, your boar bruh, your best boar friend forever. And to keep you company while you fall asleep, or to give you relief when you wake up, or when you wake up early, or when you just can't sleep at all. I'm here to the very end, whether you're awake or asleep. And that's something I've known since the first couple months, and based on feedback from doing this show. So I'm here to be here in the deep dark night. The other thing you need to know is the structure of the show. You don't need to know, but I like to point it out just for new listeners or people, that are coming back to the show or whatever, just so you know why the show's structured the way it is. And the reason the show's structured the way it is based on listener feedback over the past 12 years. And so the show starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So you feel seen and welcomed in, and you get the tone of the show is a little bit silly and friendly. So you say, I might check that show out. Or, yeah, I could give it a try. Then there's sponsor support, or asking for listener support. So we can make the show on a regular basis, but most people don't have to pay for it. As long as some people support the show, the people that get the most out of it, the show, everybody can benefit. Because there's a lot of people who just aren't in a position to support the show, or are going through a tough time, or are only here for a little while, or are new. And I don't want the show to just be on a paid service only, right? So anyway, that's just what we've seen over the years. And most people listen to the show linearly, meaning they start the podcast and it stops at the end of the show, or they set a sleep timer for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. I don't necessarily know that anybody does it for 15 minutes, but maybe some people do. And then they set it and they listen to 15-minute segments every night. Probably there are. So, so that's the very beginning of the show, then the support. Then there's a long meandering intro, which we're about 20 minutes into now, or 15 minutes into, and it's usually 15 to 20 minutes long. It's totally separate from the support. It's a show within a show where I ease you into bedtime by explaining what the podcast is in a different way each time, but in a familiar manner. So you get some reassurance that you're in the right place, but there's variety. Because in my experience, personally and based on listener feedback, predictability doesn't work with sleep podcasts or sleep stuff. For people that this show helps. For some people it does. And so whatever keeps the people, like, if you're like me or a lot of listeners awake, is like having something that's like familiar that you like, but it's different every time. And that's why we put out a ton of variety of episodes. That's where the work for the show goes. It's like, because my brain always, once it can predict something, then it knows it can keep me awake, or my feelings or my thoughts or whatever. So the intro is like familiar, but has variety. I mean, I don't even know, like I compared myself to a garage sale and a yard sale, and it's like, yeah, that's actually a perfect description of me. I don't think that's happened before, and I've done 1,400 plus episodes at this point. I have no idea, because I record these pretty far ahead of time. Okay, so that's the intro. It goes on and on and on. Why is it 15 to 20 minutes? To ease you into bedtime while you're getting ready for bed. You're in bed getting comfortable, or you're winding down. While there is we don't recommend, if you fall asleep fast, we recommend either supporting the show directly, or there's bedtime stories from Sleep With Me, which is just stories. Because the intro is kind of the time we all hang and kind of start to relax. And that's what works for me most of the time. You know, nothing works for me all the time, but having a nice wind down routine works for me most of the time. So that's the intro. Then there'll be our episodically modular series, Get Besos, Big Farm in the Sky, PI, which will be a nice story tonight. I'm pretty sure the Big Farm in the Sky PI is going to talk to a classics professor that works in a library. and just fosters positive memories of people that are really interested in a subject. So that's what I was excited about earlier, is to get to know this new character. I can't make any promises as a recurring character, but yeah. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to help if I can. I hope I can help you out. It does take me and a team of people working really hard to get this show out on a regular basis, but we're dedicated to it because it means something to us to help you out. And we're glad you're here. Work really hard, yearn and strive to help you fall asleep. And thanks again for coming by. And if you decide this show makes your life better, and you say, man, this makes my life better, how can I help this thing? Here's a couple of ways you could do that. If Sleep With Me has changed your life for the better, think about supporting the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. All right, but this is Scoots. We're trying to reset and get the super listeners on this campaign for super listeners to support the show. And the thing is, it really does come down to, well, particularly if you are an all-night listener or you fall asleep fast and you're hearing me, I really do need your attention. But if you listen 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week, if you've listened for longer than a year, if you've listened longer than 3 years, if the podcast has changed your life, I do need your attention. And here's the thing. Now we got options, right? I want everybody to be a participant in this, and I'll just run through the ways you could participate. And a lot of them you could do right now from the comfort of your own bedroom or wherever you are. And even if you're a new listener or a temporary listener or a situational listener or somebody just going through a hard time right now, you could participate too. But again, if you're an all-night listener or fall asleep fast, I really want you to lean into this, which is like the first part of it is like sending or thinking about sending your comfort across the deep, dark night to another listener. And maybe it starts with a super listener who listens just like you, but knowing they're out there somewhere in the world, or maybe it's a future super listener, somebody that's new, just like you were new. Can you send them comfort across the deep, dark night? You just barely smile for them and just think, I'm glad you're here. I hope this podcast can help you. Do you want to do that, right? Do you want to participate in that? Or are you in a place right now where you need that comfort to come into you? Do you want to receive it right now? Or just know that it's out there? Because I don't know if I'm in the receiving mood, right? But do you want to do that? Like, be like, man, there's other listeners. And this is true, by the way, that there's other listeners right now rooting for you. People that listen differently than the way you do, and people that are similar, whatever is keeping you awake or getting in the way of you getting the rest, or your listening style, that there's other listeners right now rooting for you. So those are 2 ways you could participate, or you could do both, right? You could send out some comfort and you could receive that comfort right now. Or you could alternate or whatever works for you. But I'd love it, just like I talk about in the intros, for you to be a little bit more of a part of that. And again, it's passive, right? But then we're also rooting, and maybe you could root for me together, that someone, and maybe it's you, is listening and hearing me right now. And the podcast has changed your life to a degree where you're paying attention. And maybe you're an all-night listener. The show will not go on without more all-night listeners and people fall asleep fast supporting the show. And you want to be that one that's like, man, I guess I just didn't hear you all those other times, or I wasn't really listening. And that's okay, because we're rooting for that one person, 1 out of 20 super listeners. So I don't know. Are you one of the 19 people who are rooting right now, or can you feel those 19 people rooting for you? You've been thinking about supporting the show. Maybe it's for the bonus content. Maybe it's because the podcast has changed your life, or maybe you're just curious to check it out. There's 19 other super listeners rooting for you to support the show right now, to be a hero, to be a heroine, to change the future of Sleep With Me. And believe me, I'm rooting for you because we need your support. If you're listening to me, if you're hearing me right now, and if you're that one person, please don't wait. You could support the show. You could get access to Sleep With Me Plus, which is built with super listeners in mind. It'll change the way you listen to the show because it's built with people. It's ad-free. It's amazing because we built it with super listeners in mind. And think about those 19 people that are rooting for you. And even if it's indirect gratitude, Not only has the podcast changed your life, it's changed those 19 people's lives that are also rooting for you to support the show. So you could do all that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Everybody, this is Scoots here. Welcome to our episodically modular series, Get Besos, Big Farm in the Sky, PI. This is episodically modular, which means you can listen to it in any order. It is a series. It's a series. It has recurring characters, like a plot that is very convoluted. But you could listen to it in any order. Meaning, if this is your first episode of Get Besos, Big Farm in the Sky, PI, you'll get all the information you need to know to listen or to sleep or to barely pay attention or to pay attention to meandering story. And you can listen to all the other episodes as prequels, or you could, fall asleep to this or just barely pay attention and then listen to them in order during the day. All the episodes are available everywhere. So wherever you listen to your podcasts, you can listen to them. So I'm glad you're here. I think everything, this is going to be one, I know ahead of time. The character is going to do some explaining of how we got where we are and how we got here. So I don't have to set these things up too much. Other than to say this kind of takes place in a post-earthly realm. And this episode features the Big Farm in the Sky, PI. And so I think that's everything. Other than the fact that we have our Hollywood announcer here, Mr. Antonio Banderas. This is the friends beyond the binaries, the ladies, the gentlemen, the boys, the girls. It's time for Big Farm in the Sky, PI, Get Besos. Yeah. Wow, thanks, Antonio. I didn't even really introduce you other than our Hollywood announcer. Usually I have so much... this is actually a compliment too. People say that they're underhanded compliments, but I don't believe they. Like, you have the ability to cause I don't think my use of vocabulary is ever correct, but you're not profuse. You cause profusion of compliments. If I'm using any of those words, or even when you get close to here. I start thinking, now, unfortunately, the only thing, because the reason people think it's underhanded compliments or whatever they say, all the people that are paying so close attention to this part, Antonio, there are, believe it or not, and most of them have good things to say about you. But so what do I mean? There's a two-part thing for this. There's the good side. You have so many admirable qualities, positive qualities. It creates, even within me, and I mean, my heart's not known as a place of abundance, or unawareness of abundance. That may be a chapter in my autobiography. Abundance? Where? And it's all around. You're swimming in it. Say, no idea what you're talking about. So that's also a compliment. Like for someone that's out of touch with abundance, I guess that could be another one. But even for me, I have an abundance of things to admire in you, to savor in you, and that has just impressed me. Every time you come here, drive all the way from the greater Los Angeles area via stored solar and wind and thermal energy, geothermal energy. And you can probably have to stop on the way to tap that off. And I'm sure you spend time, being kind to other people and all that, those things. But so that's what I mean. Like, you create a profusion of that even within me. The downside is for a sleep podcast, there is a low level of noise to all that perfume. I don't know if it creates a humming within me and other people. Some sort of distinct vibration. Now, we have been able to isolate it and remove it from the podcast, just like the charismatic charms and the tinkling of angels' wings or whatever it is, smiling of all mammalian creatures, I mean, those things, don't worry. I'm willing to put in the effort to counteract the profusion of goodness within you so that people can fall asleep. It's the lengths I'm willing to go. Trying to equal in which the irony is it's caused by the lengths you're willing to go. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not I don't know why people get confused. It's just the honest truth. And it's also paradoxical, right? If you weren't so amazing, what would we like? Would we have, I mean, I don't know. That's a question I'd be afraid to answer. Would I still have you on the podcast? Mr. Antonio Banderas, he's not bad. He comes here. Because it is about your introduction to the podcast. So wonderful. But anyway, I got to get to the story. But I just realized I hadn't said anything nice about you. And then when I say nice things about you, I do have to balance it back out with the reality of a production of a podcast. I'm sure all this stuff, like, how do they deal with it on set? Like when you, like you say, well, yeah, I realize I'm supposed to be doing, this job, but I'm mesmerized, or, hey, what are you doing? Do they actually work that into the call schedule? Like, hey, I noticed you're standing there in amazement. Would you just have a conversation with Antonio? Yeah. Okay. Well, don't worry. Give it 15. Okay. And, we'll come back. And I guess they work that in the budget probably for anything you're involved in. But I'm sure for movies it's different because people aren't falling asleep to them, or shows or whatever you're working on, where, the tinkling of angels' wings that are not hearable by most human ears. If that's in a movie, I'm sure that's like maybe a 20,000 hertz should cover that, because they do stuff like about all that stuff that's going on in the background noises. But they'd say, well, it's not detectable by, I guess they did. They said it's not detectable by any instruments we have or ears we have or anything. And I said, well, I can isolate it in my edit. I can hear it. As soon as Antonio's car pulls in, they start to hear this tinkling of angels' wings. And again, yeah, I have to be extra cognizant of my listeners. You wouldn't think it'd be a positive for a podcast, but sleep with me. No tinkling of angels' wings, no sighing of small mammals, no sighing of all mammals, no whatever the sound your face makes when you give a genuine smile, all those things. It's just something I got to think about. Anyway, that's Mr. Antonio Banderas. He's brings an abundance of great things here, causes a talk about profusion. I just went on. Was I being profuse there? He laughs he doesn't laugh at me or with me. He laughs like in appreciation of me. So just another nice thing about you, man. And actually, when you laugh like that, how come when you laugh about me, it doesn't make any noise? He shrugs. Oh, boy. That's Mr. Antonio Banderas. This is Get Besos Big Farm in the Sky PI. Thanks, everybody. Hey, Diane, it's me. And I got a report in here, Diane. Just checking my notes here. I've gone to the local library here. I think I'll try to explain what happened. If you say, what do you mean? I mean, if somebody else is listening to this, it might be like a local library. What do you mean? But we're still on this. We can't get past the who. You can't get past the who to get to the who, what, why, when, where, how. But we're stuck needing a who to get. How am I going to get all these people out of Florida, the real Florida? Because G&DK got jobs and lives, and also get back to my clients, which I guess everything is intersectional here anyway. But I did some gumshoe work, Diane. I went to a library because I was lost, and I was close to Florida, and so Now, good news, Diane. This is a big farm in the sky, library. I just wanted to make that rhyme, Diane. Did you appreciate that, Diane? But yeah, I was at the one, not like a branch. I think our conversation covers it. But I met this classics professor, and she was a classics professor in the earthly realms. Now a librarian in the big farm in the sky, Librarian. And kind of our conversation went, I'll just run through it, Diane. So she said, I said, hey, I didn't know, I got it sent over to her from the information desk. Cause I said, hey, how can I help you? And I said, I got to find somebody. And they said, oh, okay. Where do you need to find, they first asked me some questions. And I said, well, I don't know who I'm looking for. And then they're really good at there. They even though it's I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing that it's a local library, Diane, but they tried to narrow it down, right? Because I could have been looking for anybody, including fictional, non-fictional. And they didn't have that many people working there. It was a small place, but they said, oh yeah, you're going to want to go over there and talk to Lilith. And I said, okay, I'll talk to Lilith. How you doing, Lilith? And kind of started a conversation. So, okay, so you're looking for somebody. Yeah. I need to find somebody. Well, I need to know who they are. And she laughed at that. She said, it's quite a question, isn't it? And I said, well, yeah, I need to, yeah. And she goes, okay, tell me a little bit more about who you're looking for. And I said, well, it's pretty confusing. And she said, well, I'm already confused. Nowhere to go but where we're going to go. And I said, it involves a lot of chaos. And she goes, okay, well, why don't you just start wherever you start? Just get started. And I said, okay, so there was this guy, right? And he was on a wheel in the sky. And the wheel was warm. It was a warm wheel. And he was flying through the sky. And she goes, okay, where's the sky? And I said, in the non-positive earthly realm. He was on a permanent, loop, indefinite loop in a non-positive realm on a very warm wheel in the sky. She said, okay. And you're trying to find him? And I said, no, I'm trying to find his son. And she goes, do you know his name? I said, yeah. Axion, something like that. And I'm pretty sure he was married to a cloud-based woman who was like a goddess, or she was like a cloud-based version of a goddess. So not a woman, but a goddess. Not a woman. I'm not using those like metaphors. Wait a second, am I? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm confused myself. I apologize, Lilith. And he has another son, but she also has kids too, other kids, kids is the wrong word. She also has horse lords and horse ladies that she's the mother of. Though that part they were in Florida, but they got taken care of. They were actually changed into pony lords and pony ladies. And they got sent on another mission. But he has a son. Now, this is why I needed your help. He's got another son. Believe it or not, the son and the horse lords and the horse ladies are not related. Maybe technically they are. But they were at the same wedding. And that did not go well. But this other son, he had had a crush on the partner or the someone that was in a relationship, someone from the earthly realm, I believe. I'm not 100% on that either. But she was from the earthly realm, maybe, probably. But she got into a relationship with someone from a non-positive earthly realm. But this guy, he was an earthbound human, but he hung around somebody that was able to bend the rules a lot more than him. Oh, by the way, Lilith, so Diane, this was before I knew Lilith was a classics professor. But I said, by the way, like, this is kind of all like mythological type stuff. And she said, yeah, I got that. Okay, so back to this other guy. I think his name's Pithy or something. He goes down to this non-positive earthly realm thinking him and his best friend, who he was a little bit more, maybe he was half human and maybe a demigod thing, but they went down there and they said, yeah, let's get her out of here. I'm going to date her now, or see if she wants to go out with me because I got a crush on her. But the head of the non-positive earthly realm said, no, wrong, incorrect. So he stayed down there for a long time. And she said, I'm beginning to pick up a pattern. So that's an indefinite, two indefinites, right? In non-positive earthly realms. And I said, exactly. I said, yeah, the Pithy and Zy, whatever, axon, ion, maybe it's ion, I don't know. And also, so my friends, my client, they're my clients, said they were in a flying frog. So originally what happens was they were in a flying frog. Is a mechanical one made by the cloud-based woman or cloud-based goddess. She had asked them to go get the guy off the flying wheel. Then they got him off the flying wheel. But then they landed in Florida. Then he said, I want my son. So I went down to this non-positive region. I actually needed the help of the horse lords and horse ladies. And then we got the other guy out, Pithy. And then we all went to the real Florida, where my friend, so I have friend, I don't know if you're close with anybody on Earth still, but I'm really close with my niece and her best friend, G and DK. They live in Florida, earthbound, 100% earthbound humans, right? And they're young adults, and they're trying to start their young adulthood. And now they had a bunch of horse lords and horse ladies. I mean, they're in like a townhouse or something. And then this guy, he's kind of like, the Nefel is a cloud-based being. She seems nice, but this Ion or whatever, he's very demanding. Then his son, Pithy, not the greatest either. He kept saying, where's my buddy? I said, what? But he said, this isn't the son I'm looking for. Those two are going to have to work that out, So I wanted my other son. So I guess, I came here because I was in Florida and I didn't know what to do. I didn't realize the horse lords and horse ladies would get turned into ponies. They're pony lords and pony ladies. And they don't want to be called pony princes and princesses, by the way, Lilith. I know, believe me, it's like great alliteration, but they said no. But they're trying to be helpful or channeling their energy for something. So, do you know who this guy's son is? This guy that so I'm looking for his son. And she said, this is interesting. And I said, yeah. And she goes, so you need his son for your clients or for you, or what do you need his son for? And I said, well, he wants, oh yeah, great question. Well, I just want to get him out of Florida, basically. Though I realize how things work in the post-earthly realm. I mean, I didn't realize it when I was on Earth, though. But, there's more things that work than I can understand. And I'm trying to help my clients, which I guess I could briefly explain. So I have these two clients, James and Richie. Richie had a list of people he was going to help, similar to none of these people were on his list, but he had a list of people in non-positive earthly realms he wanted to help. And he was going through that list. Then he gave it to somebody named Jiff, that he said, Jiff, why don't you get started and do some research? Now, Jiff's not a what do you call it, a PI like me. He's just a regular person, I think. He may even be an earthbound human. I don't know. All I was told was like, hey, try to find some of these people on the list that he thinks was on the list so we can find a Jiff, because he probably shouldn't be wandering around post-earthly realms as opposed to as an earthbound human. And they just want to find him, and they want the list back, and they want to help people. And then she said, can you give me an example other than all these examples of people you helped? And I said, it'll be more confusing, but I guess everything up here, we got a bit of a more discretion up here to be confused, huh? And she said, you're using all the discretion I got. And I said, it's a good thing that we don't pay librarians like a quarter, like every 2 minutes. And she goes, no, this is a service. And I said, it certainly is. And so I explained to her about not Jean Valjean, but who's that guy again, Diane? The Inspector Javert, and a bunch of the other stuff we've been, like, what do you call it? The guy, anyway, Diana, my head's all over the place. Even a piece of pie hasn't calmed me down, but don't worry, I still give myself the gift every day. So I ran through all that stuff, and she said, okay. And I said, so that's basically where I'm at. And she goes, do you have any other clues? And I said, oh, yeah, I forgot the biggest, so I don't know who the son is, but I think I know where he is. But I don't know where he is because I don't understand. And she said, that makes sense with everything you've told me. Where, or can you tell me more? And I said, yeah, he's at some kind of convention, like a convention about like post-earthly existence or something. Like I used a magic kind of mirror tablet that the cloud-based being she gave me. It has to do with like post-earthly things after, Earth stuff. And she put up her hand. She goes, wait a second, what? And I said, he's at some kind of convention. There's it has to do with the people that work in post-earthly existence stuff. And then she goes, amazing. And I said, yeah, it is amazing. I would have never thought they had conventions. I just hadn't thought about it. And I've been here a little while. Or maybe I didn't, I forgot. And she goes, no, this is what I've been waiting for my entire afterlife. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, this is what I read and studied about on Earth. Like, this is my love on Earth. Classics, mythology, classical literature, just named a bunch of other stuff, Diane. And she goes, that's what I taught and what I read and what I was interested in. And she goes, yeah, here I work in a library, right? It's important to me to be helpful and help. Obviously, tactile experiences are more important here. And, occasionally we get interesting stuff. And she goes, well, most of the time it's just kind of like a job, to do. She goes, this is a pretty normal, part of the afterlife library system. It's just like a local branch in the Florida version of post-earthly existence. So you're visiting. You're not from the I don't even know what to call this general Florida. We call it Florida up here, but And I said, yeah, no, my G&DK, they're earthbound in Florida. And I was there, so I just came in here because I had this conference thing and all the other stuff I told you. And if I've learned one thing, it's to ask for help, right? I'm not going to be able to do this on my own, clearly. And she goes, well, it looks like this was meant to be because I am an expert in these areas. And she was also like, I'm a big fan of post-earthly fiction, like Defending My Life, The Juice of Vital, and George Burns movies, all that kind of stuff. She goes, you might say I'm an Afterlife super fan in the afterlife. And I said, wow, so have you been like around everywhere? She goes, no, just here in Florida, in the post-sunshine state. And I said, oh, and she goes, yeah, I got a nice little place here. You know, I got this job. I got my friends from work. I got my friends, there's even like a Usenet. She goes, we got a Unix server where we could talk about mythological stuff. And she said, yeah, at some point I'm going to go around and check stuff out. But I do have all the time in the world. So down the road, I think I'm going to get out and about more, when I'm more ready. And I said, okay, I get it. But she goes, maybe this is like some synchronicity. So, and I said, yeah, I hope so, because I really am at a loss. And she goes, yeah, and you need my help. And I could use your help. And I go, really? You got something you need me to help find or something? And she goes, I have a pretty good idea of who you're looking for. And so if you could take me with you, then it'd be great. Like, you take me with you. And I said, take you with me where? And she said, to the conference. And I said, what the conference from the pictures? I think that's already over. Like, that's just a clue. I think he was at the conference, but he's not there anymore. And she's like, no, that's a real conference. I've heard about it. It's for like people that work in post-earthly existences. And it's becoming more and more, it's like, we talk about it on my chats, and it's where they talk about like there's some sort of big thing coming, but it's like been like this spirit of innovation and wonder and this collaborative spirit, exchanging ideas to help everybody. That's kind of new in the post-earthly realms, right? It used to be kind of more separate, and it's like moving in that way because of the whole Sears penny thing, right? And then Diana said, I'm sorry, what? Diane, you must know how I felt inside, but I said, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, yeah, well, it's really hard to get in the conference because it's only for people that are official, not like I work in the afterlife. I don't work as a part of the afterlife, and probably it's like more, I don't know if there's actually human beings that work in those jobs, like mythological humans, but not post-earthbound humans unless they went through the mythological processes. But I wasn't listening, Diane, because I was like, wait, did you say something about seared pennies? And she goes, no, Sears penny. And I was like, sorry, Sears penny, I'm not familiar. And she goes, oh, you're not familiar with Sears? Like, she goes, it's like the chaos thing with the universe in existence. And I said, not familiar. I was just like, what? And she goes, you know how the resilience of existence, the resilience of all existence, and that it's become more like it's opened up these new frontiers as we've found out how resilient existence is and pliable. And I said, I don't understand what you're talking about. And she said, it's like kind of like 4D. It's not like 4D. Like 4D evolution? No. Like afterlife evolution? It's like let me just see how I say it. It's definitely like kind of like that there's things that happen that are glitches, and then there's like soft, you know what a soft reboot is versus a reset or a hard reboot? Like when you, and I said, because I was confused, Diane, and I was like, did she say Sears Penny? And she goes, okay, what about like stubbing your toe? And I said, okay. She goes, like, how many times when you were an earthbound being did you stub your toe? And I said, since or when? Because I don't think I have stubbed my toe. Wow, I never thought about it. I haven't stubbed my toe since I got here. And she goes, right, but on Earth, how many times do you think you stubbed your toe? And I was like, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of times. She goes, yeah. Okay, do you remember the last time you stubbed your toe? And at first I thought, she goes, there's no wrong answers. And I go, no, I don't. I guess I don't remember. And she goes, right, but when you stubbed your toe in the moment, it got your attention, right? It was very unpleasant. And I said, yeah, oh yeah, I'm positive about that. And she's like, right. Do you know if it was your big toe or your little toe or what? And I said, I don't know. I think a 50-50 chance. She goes, yeah, okay. And she goes, but when you stubbed your toe, you probably did something like with whatever you stubbed it on, or like maybe you did it again and again repetitively, and then you fix things, right? But if it was something that you had control over or you could create awareness of, you probably didn't stub your toe again on the same thing without some gap, a pretty big gap in between. Like, so you wouldn't stub it again. Like, do you remember ever stubbing your toe on the same thing twice without doing? And I said, yeah, but I did something about it. And she goes, right. But you also stubbed, and I said, yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Right, like you changed things, or you just did it and then you forgot about it, and then like the specifics are gone. And I said, okay. And she goes, so yeah, Sears Penny things like that. And I said, what? And she goes like, almost like the entire, not universe, but all of existence stubs its toe every once in a while. And when it happens, it's kind of like a big flash, you know, for the existence or the universes or whatever. It's like you make some noise, right? Gets the attention of the stubby. Like it's a big deal in the moment. And there's noise and there's flustering and there's feelings, right? And I said, yeah. But toes are resilient for the most part. You know, sometimes you have to have some outside help, but a lot of times it's like your toe gets over it. But at least initially, it's like, and I said, okay. And she goes, yeah, and maybe you hold your toe or maybe you do something about it, but then you move on and you also kind of forget about it. But maybe you improve something or change something. And I said, okay. She said, so Sears Penny's like that, just like a bigger, you know, it's bigger because, and we can only be aware of some of the changes, right? Because it's more of a theory, because there's no proof, because it's like you don't have, it just doesn't get recorded somehow in a similar way, or like historically. But it usually leads to some change that's indirect. You say, what would I change that door around for? I don't know. It's so vague. I don't even have an answer for you for my own metaphor. But one of those things that, at least in theory, we're pointing to is that this new collaborative spirit. There's always been some kind of thing, but this conference is proof. This conference has not always existed, right? And things have changed. You know, not everybody remembers it, so you got to really dig deep. But they say, yeah, there was times where, you know, things were not as travel between existences wasn't allowed, and that's still not all allowed, right? And I say, yeah, I tried to go to L, but like over the bridge in L, and she's like, wait a second, you tried to go into L, and Elheim, and I said, yeah, we could talk about it another time. Right. So what I was saying is that, like, one of the results of this Sears Penny thing is that the universe is becoming more open, more collaborative, more friendly, and more curious about one another and even how things are done and why, in the true spirit of collaboration, I guess, and learning from one another. And I guess there was a pause, Diane, and I said, so this is called the Sears Penny? And she goes, yeah. And I said, any idea why it's called Sears Penny? And she said, no, actually, maybe they're the ones that came up with the theory. I hadn't thought about it too much. I guess like my toe. I mean, I could look it up if you want. But sometimes there's like blank spots, you know, this isn't like a history, you know, regular earthbound history, you know, it's going in beyond 4D. But yeah, it's called Sears Penny. We talk about it, my friends and I. And I said, okay, so this conference is a good thing, you're saying? And she goes, yeah, it's a good thing. It sounds really, really cool too. And I said, so you want to go to the conference? And I said, can you tell me, like, what is it like about the conference that you, just because you're a fan? What's so appealing about it? And I think I was just buying time, Diane, because, now talking about it makes perfect sense. But at the time, I was still like, Sears Penny, Sears Penny, Sears Penny. Oh, my goodness, what did I get myself into? But she said, so you're a PI, right? And she's perceptive, this Lilith, because I said, yeah, I'm a PI. And she said, okay, but you weren't a PI on Earth, right? And I said, no, on Earth I was not a PI. And she goes, but on Earth, were you a fan of like PIs and mysteries and stuff like that? I said, oh, yeah, that's why I wanted to be a big Farm in the Sky PI. Because in my earthbound life, I said, kind of like you said, one day, I said, man, you're perceptive. You're almost like a PI. And she goes, okay, so I want you to imagine you were on Earth. And I said, okay. And she goes, imagine there was something called like PI-Con. And I said, PI-Con. And I said, like the icon. And she goes, no, like... There's a convention about it, but it's not for fans of PIs and mysteries, but just for PIs, but not just regular PIs, fictional PIs, archetypes, people that create it, the characters themselves in reality, imaginary ones, obscure ones, and they're all meeting for some sort of purpose. I guess that would be the only different thing. Like, maybe they're having a meeting to be like, how do we make PIing better on Earth? Probably wouldn't apply on Earth. Maybe you could do it up here. But she said, like, if they had that, wouldn't you want to go check it out and observe it and just watch? And I said, oh, yeah, for sure I would. And she said, well, that's what I want to do. I just want to go there and see it and see what it's like. Okay, but you're saying if I take you, you'll help me. So if I get you into the conference or take you with me, you'll help me figure out who I'm looking for and where I could find them. And she goes, well, I know who you're looking for. And I know he's likely to be at that conference. That makes perfect sense. She said, I'm more than happy to help you. She goes, I can't guarantee we'll have to do some more PI work. She goes, I know who he is, but I don't know. I've never met him before, right? I don't have a picture of him. But I'm willing to help you if you help me go to this conference, because this is like my dream come true. And I said, okay, like, I said, I'm willing to help. And she said, can you tell me anything else about this conference just so I could get really excited? And I said, well, we gotta head out, I think. And she goes, well, do you know, like, we'll have to figure out when the next one is. But I know it's coming up. And I said, well, I did actually, like, I had this, like, a cloud-based PDF that the cloud-based woman gave me. That was like a conference thing. I just don't know if I'm supposed to read this to you or not. And she goes, go ahead and tell me a little bit about, is it the conference agenda? And I said, yeah, this one was called Gatekeepers of the Afterlife, Bridging Realms, Guarding Eternity. It was 3 days. It was in a neutral mythical realm. And, they had welcoming on day one, breakfast at the gates. Everybody, their conference badges were called Keys of Access. And there was a light cuisine and refreshments. Then there was an opening ceremony, Call Beyond the Veil. And there was a speaker. Then there was a history of passageways, a panel from different traditions, gatekeepers from different traditions. Then talking about ethics and afterlife management. Then there was a lunch. Then there was breakout sessions on personal development. 3 different sessions on resolving entry disagreements, advanced portal maintenance, role of memory. Self-care, guiding souls without losing yourself. Then a round table working across pantheons. Then a mixer, otherworldly drinks. Wow, she was really impressed with this, Diane. Even though I'm just reading it to you now, I can see her face. Then there was a breakfast. Then a keynote panel, Crossing the Threshold. Then dealing with people entering without permission. Then another lunch. Then workshops in the afternoon. People trying to find their way. Technology or emotional resilience for eternal roles. Then something about the future. Then a tour, cross-realm gateways. Then a gala masquerade. And then a farewell breakfast in the last day. Then another keynote, building bridges, not walls. And then final workshops. So anyway, Diane, I better, the final workshops, Diane. Okay, you're right, Diane. I should cover those. Lost my page, though. The final workshops were maintaining neutrality, crafting a better experience. Then the closing ceremonies, the gates reopen, which was like a ceremony symbolizing unity and shared purpose, distribution of things. They also had a marketplace with various mythical artifacts, charms, services, a serene retreat center, and exhibits displays of afterlife beliefs and practices from various cultures. So, yeah, that's everything, Diane, from that one. That was just I guess it like, so I guess the next thing is to find this conference, get in there. And she wouldn't tell me who it was, obviously, because she doesn't, then I wouldn't have to bring her with me. So typical PI, but I'm chewing the gums, Diane, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night. All right, but Scoots here. This is your Tuck You In message, mostly for super listeners, though any listener that's listening right now, you could partake in this by, like, if you're a temporary listener, you're a new listener, you only listen from time to time, remember that what I talk about in the intro, other listeners are rooting for your good night's sleep so you can receive that energy and comfort across the deep, dark night that other listeners are sending you. And you could send it out right now, right? You could send out your comfort or rooting for other people, even if they can't sleep, even if they're awake right now, that they have some comfort and relief, some companionship or some distraction in the deep, dark night. So you can receive or send any listener. You could do that. Now, with super listeners, would love it if you're, particularly if you're listening right now and you happen to be listening and hearing me and you fall asleep fast or you're an all-night listener, you're the two key demographics that literally the future of Sleep With Me will depend on if any of you end up hearing me and listening to me. More than are currently doing so, or if I just slowly get through to more people that fall asleep fast, people that listen all night long, and then any other super listeners, people that have been listening over 3 years, people that have been listening over a year, people that have been listening over 5 years, people that listen 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week. You're the listeners I kind of need. Well, I mean, the reality is, like, if you're listening to me right now and hearing me, whether it's in this Tuck You In message or before the podcast starts or in the mid-roll of the podcast, the reality is you're like, and I think a lot of people dismiss this, but the stats back it up. Really, you're the one person listening and hearing me right now. And that's why I'm trying this new approach, because we still have to get through to people whose lives are made better by the podcast, that we need your support on Sleep With Me Plus. But it starts before that, right? And while I have to keep asking for support and keep pointing out how important it is if you value the podcast to support it back, and that Sleep With Me Plus was built with super listeners in mind, no ads, different versions of the show designed for people that fall asleep fast, people that listen all night long, people that have very specific favorites and like to build playlists of their favorites, people with particular tastes about the podcast of certain episodes but not other styles of episodes, people that are super fans of the podcast, super listeners, people, and I don't know, or if you're hearing me and listening to me right now, are you a super listener? If not, just root for other listeners or be rooted for. Or if you're curious, check out a trial of Sleep With Me Plus. But any super listener, there's 4 stages, I guess. Let me look at my notes here. Well, the whole thing I've been doing in the intros over the past few months and in the last minisode is that we're here rooting for other listeners, right? Or being rooted for in the deep, dark night. Because that's what the show's about, is like gentle caring, gentle relief at a distance, sending comfort across the deep, dark night to people that are out there, people just like you, or people a lot different than you, but that we all share something, right? And now is where I'm trying to deepen that conscious connection and choice in a multitude of ways. So each time you listen to the show now, you get this chance to participate in a passive way and think about who else is listening right now. Like, are you, because there's a strong possibility when I get to these messages that you might be the only one listening and paying attention right now, but maybe there are a couple other people listening and paying attention right now. And do they listen the same style as you? Are they struggling with sleep in the same way you struggle with, or is it different? And can you root for them? Maybe they're an all-night listener, or maybe they fall asleep fast, or maybe they're an occasional listener just going through a tough time. And you can decide, do you want to root for them? Do you want to send them comfort right now across the deep, dark night? And can you sense that they're out there rooting for you to fall asleep or to have some relief or to have a distraction and a friend in the deep, dark night, that they're bore friends with you, right? That not just me as the person that narrates this podcast, but that there's someone else out there hoping that your life is more manageable tomorrow, and ideally that you could be out there flourishing on a regular basis. And if you're a super listener, right, particularly, again, if you're an all-night listener, you listen multiple times a week, or you fall asleep fast, or you've been listening for years, maybe you're the one all of us are quietly rooting for to support the show, because we do need to reach that goal of 1,500 super listeners supporting the show back. And that's out of a large number of super listeners. But the thing is, most super listeners are like, no, so it's someone else will do it. I'll do it later. Well, right now, you could do it, right? You could root for another person. You could be rooted for. You could do both of those things. Or you could support the show, or you could root for someone else to support the show. Who is it out there that you're rooting for? Like, who is going to be that hero or heroine? And maybe they're hearing, maybe you're the one, you're hearing all the other listeners starting to root for you. Are you out there? Are you going to support the show? Maybe you support it because you want ad-free episodes. You're supporting it for yourself, and it helps other people. Or maybe you're supporting it because you listen all night long and it's just more convenient to support the show and listen all night long. Maybe you're going to support it because you want it to be there for you in 6 months or 12 months or 3 months from now. Maybe you're going to support it because you know the podcast makes your life better. And you hear me and you know I'm serious. You say, hey, we can't do this without especially all-night listeners and people that fall asleep fast, but all super listeners, a percentage of them supporting the show back. That's how we pay the bills. That's how we're able to be here. But maybe it's not you, but can you root for that person? But maybe it is. Can you feel all those listeners rooting for one another and then rooting for that one person out of 20, right? That's who we need, of super listeners. So are you those 19 people getting rooted for? That's pretty cool. It's cool enough. Or are you the person we're all rooting for to support the show? If you're hearing me and listening for me right now and you can hear that, it's like yeah. Rooting for you to support the show. Don't wait, right? That's the biggest thing I've been learning from this campaign, from the people that do end up supporting the show. They're like, yeah, I was tuning you out. Where I was kind of passing on the message, saying, I'll do it later. Somebody else will do it. I want to do it, but I don't know. How many of those listeners are rooting for you right now to overcome those small obstacles and support the show right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus? I know I'm rooting for you, but I'm rooting for every listener. That's why I'm here. That's why the show isn't behind a paywall. That's why I work so hard, and that's why I'm willing to put myself out here and kind of have other listeners have strong feelings about me asking directly, because you're important. And that's why I show up day after day, night after night. I love making this show because I love participating in this thing where I know what it feels like for me in the deep, dark night. You know what it feels like for you in the deep, dark night. And you know there's other people out there that share this with us. And in the end, that's really what it's about. So I don't know if you could feel that. And I don't know if you could send it or receive it. And sometimes you might need to receive that energy. Sometimes you might want to send it. But a lot of times it's just nice knowing it's there, at least for me, knowing that you're out there and the other listeners are out there too. So thank you so much for listening to the show. And if you decide the podcast has changed your life for the better, and you want to make sure it's like you want to be that person we're all rooting for, you could support the show right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. And then set up the bonus content tomorrow when you're more awake. Thanks.